Global Integrity's Local Integrity Initiative is a collection of projects assessing anti-corruption and governance at the subnational and sector levels in different countries around the world. Projects are carried out with local partner groups in order to be directly relevant to the diverse governance challenges found at the local level. Talking about his organization's experience in coordinating these subnational assessments is Nathaniel Heller, Executive Director of Global Integrity.
There were really two main challenges that we faced, especially in the early days of the Local Integrity Initiative. The first was it took us a while to figure this out, but we learned the hard way that we really needed to make a major investment in capacity building and training with our local partners who were implementing these projects with us. And I think we sort of naively began the process early on, assuming that others had as much experience as we did fielding similar sorts of metrics. And the reality was they didn't, and sometimes for good reason. So we learned very early on that we needed to make a real investment into training, explaining the methodology, explaining our style of indicators so that they could go out and do some really, really good research. The second and also very important lesson learned was that we simply couldn't copy and paste techniques and frameworks that we had used at the national level. And that took us a while to figure out as well. We early on tried to basically use questions that we had asked in the same country context, but asked them at the local or state or provincial level and realized that that just wouldn't work. So there was a lot of I guess, pain and suffering that went on in terms of having to do much more intensive desk research and consultations with experts for many, many months before we went into the field to ensure that we had a methodology that really was relevant at the local level. To me, the biggest piece of advice that we could share that is most relevant to others who want to do this sort of work at the local and sector level is to be aware of the fact that there probably is not a perfect cookie cutter example of similar research that's already been done. And I think when we began the work, we sort of naively assumed that there must be a lot of other people focused on similar issues and running similar pieces of field work. But the reality is, while there is a large community of practice around these general issues, and while there are resources like the Gateway Portal that catalog, the universe of what has been done, the truth is that especially when you get to the local and sector levels within countries, it's exceedingly rare to find existing third-party research and projects that are exactly what one is interested in. So for us, that meant two things. One, it became a very fun sort of creative process because we weren't bound by an existing body of work that we had to try and match or improve upon. And on the flip side, it meant there was real risk to this sort of research because no one else had often tried it. And so I think that's the key lesson that we took to heart, is to both be creative and experimental, but also to set expectations and not assume that there is a nice reading list of 20 other papers out there around which one could build one's project.